Hello and welcome to the next project on the Siege Captain. I'm going to be doing my second attempt at a Linothorax. What a Linothorax is basically the ancient Greek equivalency of bulletproof armor. It is layers and layers of fabric all glued together. Those Greeks would have been using all natural materials because they care about that kind of stuff. They would have been using linen, most likely, and the layers would have been glued together with a natural glue like a rabbit glue. Materials in the glue that they actually used is still secret to us. These biological materials decay over time and we don't have any surviving examples of a Linothorax. The leading research I could find on it, done by this guy here, he used all linen and all rabbit glue, and the results that he got was over there. I plan on making a full linen and full natural glue Linothorax. There's not really many varying opinions on what they could have used for the fabric, as linen was the main source for their clothing. But the glue could have been any natural type of glue. From my understanding, he chose rabbit glue because it was readily available, abundant, like the cheapest of the glues, and provided quality results. That being said, I think it'd be fun to get some test patches and some test natural glue and run a series of experiments to see what gets the best result. Now, with all this being said, my next Linothorax is going to be a mixture of natural and unnatural materials. To source my materials, I raided my local Goodwill and found all the cheap bed sheets I could. The vast majority of the bed sheets I got are cotton, but there are a couple polyester. Behold my bed sheets. Cotton. 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 And these are not bed sheets, they are tablecloths. Polyester. They might be cotton tablecloths, but we're just splitting hairs. Hair glue, rabbit glue, funny. Speaking of the glue, I also went with an affordable glue, a very readily available and easy to work with glue to keep it budget friendly. That glue, of course, being the favorite drink of many an elementary school kid. Elmer's glue, non-toxic and tastes great. This stuff dries into basically a hard plastic. In the aforementioned research, he talked about how he laid out the sheets and glued them all together, and then after the glue was dried, he had to cut them, and he ended up having to use a bandsaw right there to cut them. So the advice he gave was, cut them before you glue them. I'm going to do precisely that. Fun fact, do you know why they call it a bandsaw? A lot of people think it's because of the metal band that goes around it. You know, the saw is like a band. No. It's because in the 1999 Tokyo Woodworking Championships, that saw was so good at what it did, it required not enough skill for them, so they banned the saw. Bandsaw. Make sure you repeat that to all your woodworking friends as fact. And to complete the project, I raided my wife's craft drawer and found this little handy cutting pad with this little handy cutting thing, and if that doesn't work for me, I have other cutting thing. So, now that's all left to it, is to do it. I said that we were going to be using a mixture of the polyester and the cotton. We're not. I'm going to use the polyester for my template. When gluing artificial fabrics to natural fabrics, it can cause adhesion issues, so we're going to stick to just cotton on cotton. I printed out this handy dandy chart. All lengths are given in centimeters. I will link to this in the description. I'm going to do more layers in the front, more layers in the back. I'm going to keep these parts here a little bit thinner in hopes that it's a little more pliable and easier to work with. So I folded the tablecloth, bed sheet, whatever, into 4 layers, and I laid out my template, and I traced it on, and I gave myself an extra inch over here just to fit around my torso better. I'm getting greedy and trying to cut 4 layers at a time. Let's hope this pizza cutter's got it. That looks good.
Efficiently.
So this is the next half of the fabric I just cut. Like I was saying, I want the areas that are going around the side of my body to be a little bit thinner so it's a little more pliable and easier to maneuver. Hopefully I won't get stabbed in my side. But the front and the back need to have some extra layers. That's 4 more front panels. And that's 4 more back panels. So this will be, we have the 8 layers for the back, we have the 4 layers going all the way around. So we just need about 4 more layers for the front of my armor. My glue looks a little funky. Don't know why it's so thick. So after adding the water, it looks a lot more like glue again. So I'm going to do 2 full layers on the bottom, all the back and front layers, and then 2 full layers on the top. So these are the full length layers. So not only is the glue there just to hold the fabrics together, it is providing a lot of the structural integrity of the Linothorax.
When she's like not full but not starving.
Okay.
So like sometime in between the next. It's been 3 hours since she last ate, so she could be fine.
So the Linothorax has been dry for a couple days. Probably still has a few wet spots, but I was test fitting it. Seems to fit pretty good. The yoke's right over there. I can move my arms relatively hard. The only thing I was thinking about is when I was listening to Gregory Aldrete, the Linothorax expert, he was saying he was making them 1 centimeter thick. Now, my American brain doesn't think in centimeters, but this doesn't look even close to 1 centimeter. This needs more layers. This isn't gonna stop a thing. I could stab through this. I know I could stab through this. Back to the gluing board. I added 4 more full layers, so that brings the back up to 12 full layers. This middle part and this connecting part have 8 layers now, and I added 8 more layers to the front, so that puts me at 20 layers here. I'm going to try to get out to the thrift store and find more tablecloths or bed sheets, whatever's made out of cotton. I'm about a half a gallon of glue in. Can't really see into the bottle, but used about half of this. So I'm going to give it a couple more days to dry. I'll check back in 2 or 3 days. Alright, we have an update on the Linothorax. You can see it is dry at this point. It is rock solid. It kind of hurts to wear, but it's because I haven't added the comfort to it yet. It's going to take some plying to fit to my body, but here we have the front panel. I wanted to give it a stab. Okay, we have 20 layers of cotton on this sucker. Hours of work. I'm going to take my gladius there and stab it.
What is that? What the fuck is that?
Huh. That was not a lot of force, and it went clean through. Not very promising. I'm gonna give it a shot with the gastrophetis. I cannot resist blasting this sucker with my gastrophetis, my newest homemade arrow. I gotta see what it does. Woo! That arrow was cooking. I love my gastrophetis, man. Punched a huge hole through. Poorly sharpened Roman gladius versus Linothorax. Okay. Okay. Not good. That clearly went through. It stopped the slash convincingly, but this thing isn't very sharp. That I've never hit anything with. This has an edge on it. It stopped that. There's the spot the Roman gladius went through. That's where the katana went through. The slash marks, there's one there and one, that's the high point. And it stopped both of those. We've got the Linothorax wrapped around these bags of charcoal to simulate a human torso. It has a little bit of give to it, but not a lot. I'm going to be shooting has a 45-pound draw weight at 28 inches. And I will be shooting it with this field tip arrow here. It is pretty pointy, but not designed to penetrate. Well, I'm not gonna lie, guys. This is very discouraging. I did not have the bow pulled all the way back. The arrow penetrated that far, and I'm sure it was only stopped by the charcoal and not the Linothorax. So at this point of the project, I am really discouraged to continue. Yeah, that arrow went through so easily. It was only stopped by the charcoal behind it. I bet you it would have went through both layers of this. I want to say let's try a slashing weapon. A Greek hoplite formation would be facing off against other spears, so a stabbing motion, or arrows from the Persians. Given my gladius went through it that easy, I doubt that this is going to stop a stab. I don't necessarily want to try a slashing weapon, because if it stops a slashing weapon, who cares? Like, you're going to be getting stabbed. Maybe it's just because of my horrible glue choice. I don't know. Maybe since this cheap, thin cotton, I just need more and more layers. But this armor probably is 2/3 of a centimeter thick. And if it's barely slowing down an arrow, what's another 1/3 of a centimeter? And at the point when you get it to like 2 centimeters thick, the armor is going to be heavier than bronze. I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments below. Should I continue? Should I just make this some kind of costume? I think that's what I'm going to do, is just wrap it in some nice fabric, make it look good. Make it a costume.